Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this lovely Wednesday evening. Happy to have you guys here for another edition of the Primetime Show. The DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes has just gotten a little more interesting. Little bit of news to add some interest and intrigue to this competition to land one of the best veteran wide receiver free agents that we've seen in quite some time. We'll talk about DeAndre Hopkins and we'll evaluate what these potentially new, shall we say, offers. Offers is the wrong word. Let's say the new interest or the increased interest in DeAndre Hopkins and how real that is at this point. We'll also talk about Rand Carthon. He gave an interesting interview with Kimberly Martin of ESPN that I think you're going to enjoy. And we'll get to that here in just a second. Rising and falling is how we will end the show because that's what we always do on a Wednesday night. So make sure you have your stock up and stock down candidates to end the show. Before we do any of this, before we talk Hop or Ran, I need you guys to share this show around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or Twitch, you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell a friend to do the same if you've done both of those things. If you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Once you've done that, we can go ahead and get this primetime show off and rolling because my voice is on its last gasp, literally. This is the fourth of 4 shows today, but I know we're going to finish strong, so let's do it. Welcome into A to Z Sports Primetime from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by our friends at Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook app, and they will match your first bet up to $250 when you plug in that promo code ATOZ. That's ATOZ in the Superbook Sports app. True Math Fitness in the Gulch. True Math Fitness is where I'll be at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can get your best workout in at TrueMathFitness.com. They are the place to go as a Middle Tennessee resident, conveniently located in the Gulch. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMathFitness.com. So we have a little bit more information on DeAndre Hopkins and a couple of other teams that might be interested in acquiring his services. Sal Paolantonio of ESPN, longtime NFL insider, very credible at this point. Major Key says, poor Buck, damn, take a day off. We're about to take a week off of I'm going to take a lot of time off coming up this summer. In fact, this is the last full week of work that I'm going to do for a while. And prime time is going to go on a hiatus after Thursday. So yes, no prime time, no 615, no install, no radio show, or at least no radio show with me for a while. I'm going to be taking a lot of vacation this summer. But looking at the report, the latest report by Sal Paolantonio of ESPN. He was asked a question on ESPN radio, and he gave an answer. Specifically, the question was about the New England Patriots. Is he going to end up in New England? Here's the question. Here's the response. So Sal Pal says he believes that New England is the most likely landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins. There's mutual interest. Bill likes him. Bill Belichick likes DeAndre Hopkins, likes his game. And DeAndre Hopkins likes the situation in New England, knows Bill O'Brien. It's a perfect fit at a time when they need a wide receiver that can get separation. They need somebody like that. But you have to remember, I'm talking to Keyshawn Johnson here, and he knows it. When you go to New England, you're going to the Navy SEALs. You're going to a different kind of culture. DeAndre Hopkins has to understand that when he goes there. He's going to have to fit in. They're going to make sure that he fits in, but he's going to have to fit in there with what they do. Carolina's lurking, which is an interesting and new development, I add parenthetically. Carolina's lurking. Cleveland is lurking for sure. But if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, do I want to go to Carolina with a rookie quarterback? Do I want to go to Cleveland? Or do I want to go to New England where I can be coached by Bill Belichick? The Patriots are trying to be relevant in the division right now. They're the 4th team in the division. You bring in DeAndre Hopkins, and he's going to transform them into a buzz right away in the AFC East. Of all the 3 teams that were discussed in there, not once was it mentioned the Tennessee Titans. So, that doesn't mean that the Titans are out of it. In fact, I know that the Titans consider themselves very much in it. Um, but it doesn't seem that Sal Palantonio's information has any indication of Tennessee whatsoever. Now, I don't think there's a like. Do I think that the Titans are the most likely landing spot for him? No, I don't. Does that completely rule him out from landing in Tennessee? No, of course not. Well, there's plenty more time. Again, there's nearly a month. July 25th is when we will all report back from training camp. God help us. There's less than a month until football season. Oof. Gives me the football season scaries. But would I favor them? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. Do I think they're the best landing spot? Yeah, kind of. I really do. Now, Carolina's interesting to me, and we'll talk about this together, but it's your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Of the four now, let's call them potential landing spots for DeAndre Hopkins, of the four teams who are interested in DeAndre Hopkins, let's talk about it together. Which one makes the most sense? Which one is the best fit for Hopkins? Is it New England, Tennessee, Carolina, or Cleveland? We'll talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is made possible by Two Rivers Ford. Go to Two Rivers Ford today for quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service, and a brand name you know that you can trust. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. That's the place that you should go. So as we look at the situation for the Tennessee Titans, for the New England Patriots, for the Carolina Panthers, and for the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, to me, at this point, seems the least likely landing spot at this stage of the conversation. Seems the least likely landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins. To me, they have Elijah Moore, who they traded for. They have Amari Cooper, who they're paying a lot. Unless Deshaun, they could restructure Deshaun's contract and make it happen. It's possible. They have, I'm blanking on, I can't believe I'm blanking on the Tennessee wide receiver that they drafted. Not Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman, the other Tennessee wide receiver. I think that at this point, it doesn't necessarily make sense for Cleveland out of any of these three teams. Sam Cardenas says he thinks that there's a 75% chance to sign with Tennessee. That's flatly incorrect. 75% is way too high. In fact, I think 25% is way too high, especially if there's four teams in contention. No, I don't think I'd go much below 25%. I think it's, so let's give Cleveland the smallest percentage. I don't necessarily know what I'd put it at. But, if I said initially I'd give them a 30% chance when there's two teams, I'd say probably 25% chance with just the idea of four teams out there and still about a month left to go. 75% is way too high. Michael Gray says, Buck also thinks Jack Daniels is cheap liquor. I honestly have no idea what Jack Daniels costs. I don't drink whiskey. But, I'm sure Jack's I don't think Jack's super expensive. I don't think you're, what are you paying for a fifth of Jack Daniels? Like $25? Like Jack Daniels, $25 for a fifth. I have no idea what Jack Daniels costs. Let me not say that. Also, I think on a scale of liquor, like Jack Daniels is considered Jack Daniels definitely closer to well than it is to good whiskey by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know what we're doing here. And also, whiskey pretty gross. But I think that the situation for the Titans at this point, for DeAndre Hopkins and the fit that makes the most sense. Bert also reminds me that they have David Bell, who they drafted this year. They also have Donovan. Yeah, Cleveland and Albert Breer all but took them out of the conversation today. I would say to you that the circumstance for the Tennessee Titans, a little bit over 30%. Stephen King says Buck doesn't seem like a gambler. I bet he just hits the slots in Vegas with the grandparents. I don't gamble. I really, it's not something that's not necessarily for me. I keep tabs on it because obviously with Superbook, they have lines that are helpful in the analysis. But myself, I obviously don't gamble on the NFL. It would be a conflict of interest. I don't think anything had happened to me really, but it's certainly an ethical concern to have me gambling on games for the same reason they don't want players gambling on games. Y'all stop making Buck waste his words. I know I'm running out of them. I've only got so many tonight. But Justin Johnson says, stop hating on Jack. I mean, listen, I don't hate Jack. Well, actually, that's not true. I'm not a whiskey drinker, so I have no opinion on Jack other than it's whiskey and I'm not interested. But long story short, DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans, the fit that makes the most sense, I still think it's Tennessee. Now, I don't know how much the money situation is going to, I know how much the money situation is going to factor into this. And I don't know that it's just going to be, let's call it Carolina's interest is real. Talk to enough people about Carolina. Carolina's interest is real. New England's interest is obviously real. They did re-sign Devontae Parker today, though, which I thought was interesting. 3 years, $33 million with a pretty good chunk of guaranteed money. Now, New England's got more cap space to work with than Tennessee does. And he was already a member of their roster, but it's not like he was great. And that was pretty decent money for Devontae Parker at this point. We'll see if DeAndre Hopkins, if that was a part of the deal. I can't imagine that it would be a part of the deal, but it will be interesting. Quick reminder that the Primetime Show is made possible by the great folks at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com and get your dream address without the stress. The Intel Edge is what you will receive from the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators, who are in the midst of their NHL draft tonight. GaryAshton.com is where you go for that intel. Don't sell without the intel at GaryAshton.com. So I maintain that Tennessee is the most, logical, but we don't know that the money's even, so we can't say that the money's even. I hear some whiskey clears up scratchy throats. Yeah, but even still, tequila is my weapon of choice, shall we say. Stam Cardina says he's going to make a point. He's still got it. With Tennessee, I think might not even ask for way too much. Well, no, that's nonsensical. He's in this for the money. Guys, make no mistake. It's not about ring chasing. It's not about competitiveness of the football team. He is a very competitive player, and I'm sure he'll bust his ass for whoever he ends up with in games. He's definitely not a practice player. And so New England, that's kind of where the conflict is most likely to arise because, yeah, you got to abide by the rules, whether you're Chad Johnson, whether you're Albert Haynesworth, whether you're Tom Brady, everybody in between. You got to abide by the Belichick way, and that doesn't work for a lot of people. So we'll see if that ends up, being how it ends up. Ryan Tannehill is the best of the three quarterbacks, 13-year NFL vet, proven commodity, above average quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. I would put Ryan probably in the top 12 of quarterbacks on a regular basis. And the bag talks, as Corey D. Jackson says. The bag talks loudest. And so don't fool yourself into thinking that DeAndre Hopkins wants to play for your team because your team gives him the best chance to win. DeAndre Hopkins wants to play for who's going to pay him. DeAndre Hopkins at a state of his career is where he should be considering who is going to pay him the most and make it most worth his time. And then he can perform as he's wanting to perform. Rob Smith says, I'm sure he's not hurting. I'm not sure he's hurting for money. I think a good and inviting system would weigh more than money. Well, you'd be wrong. You'd be flatly wrong. And the idea that people at that level would be content because they've made enough money completely ignores one, society. Have you seen the way that people with money react to the opportunity to make more money? The objective is always more money. Rob, if somebody says to you, you can do your job at the level that you are capable of doing it for less money, but you'll have a better work environment. Yeah, you might consider it, or you'll have a situation that better suits your needs. Or somebody makes you an offer that is so far above and away better financially for your circumstances that you have to say that you can't say no. Most people are going to take the money. A lot of people take the money. A lot of people hate what they do, but they'll do it because they get paid. A lot of athletes don't love football the way that you guys love football. A lot of athletes use football as a means to get out of their circumstances, wherever they come from, to provide for their family. Same reason you go to work. Athletes don't give a shit the way that you give a shit about your teams. Some of them do. Some of them do. That's noble. Doesn't get rewarded. Very rarely. You know who gives a shit about his team? Kevin Byard. What was his reward? He got asked to take a pay cut this offseason. So, don't fool yourselves into this nobility in professional sports, especially in professional sports. And college football is going the same way. So, again, just because you know what he makes and you know that he's made a lot Doesn't mean that DeAndre Hopkins isn't one, worth more money than he's being offered. Two, couldn't stand to leverage his position into more money. And three, wouldn't be wise to leverage his position into more money. You know why? Because that's business. Because the NFL doesn't. I mean, look at everything happening in the NFL. Go listen to Bussin' with the Boys today. In fact, I'm going to play the Kevin Byard clip from Bussin' with the Boys today. I've got that available to us here in the chat on the Primetime Show. We'll do that here in just a second because I think that's more interesting than the Rand Carthon video that we have for you. Right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by the wonderful people at Superbook Sports. Now, I myself do not wager on NFL games, but you can wager on NFL futures right now in the Superbook Sports app. Go download it today, and they will match your first bet up to $250 when you plug in the promo code ATOZ. That's A2Z Sports, or excuse me, that's A2Z in the Superbook Sports app to get that $250 in bonus bets. They always have the best odds boosts and promo bets around. And you know you're always going to get favorable odds and bonuses on your favorite Tennessee teams. They even have a Tennessee tab for you to wager. So download the app, plug in that promo code ATOZ, get your free up to $250 bet. Terms and conditions at superbook.com. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, Michael M. says, Buck, talk about the Patriots signing Devontae Parker. I already did. I said it was weird. I said it's a lot of guaranteed money. And, Michael, just because I didn't do it while you're on the show doesn't mean that we already did it. That's okay, because you can get it as a podcast afterwards. It's available for you to rewind on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you watch it. Mr. Jones says, Buck is fed up. No, I'm not fed up. Not at all. I just don't think that, I think a lot of people misunderstand what professional sports is, and that's fine. And I think that there's a certain, segment where that might have been true. That people, hell, we're not that far removed from Tom Brady taking less money to build better football teams. Patrick Mahomes has expressed stuff like that. And that doesn't mean that those people don't exist. It's just completely, I think it's very, very naive, to say anything, to pocket watch and say anything to the effect of, well, he's got enough money. Why wouldn't he take less to go and try and win a ring? Because he doesn't give a shit about winning a ring as much as he cares about making money. Roy L. Wright says, Buck takes some sinus medicine. No, I'm not sick. I'm just hungover. A weekend in Vegas, Roy, a day full of beer Olympics at Lawan's yesterday. I've physically worn myself out from shouting and partying, if I'm being completely honest. And, it's the off season for your boy too. So we soldier on. I feel great. I just sound like shit. What are you going to do? So play the clip, says Dog versus Face. All right, let's play the clip of Kevin Byard speaking with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton about the awkwardness of this offseason.
There are all these new news articles out about you in the beginning of the year. Do you want to talk about your situation with that at all? Like, this is kind of your place to do it.
Yeah, the funny thing was like dealing with the whole situation when I was in Cabo and that thing happened in March, like the conversation between the team and my agency, it happened like a month ago. Like I kind of already knew the situation, you know what I'm saying? So when I was on the beach, literally with my wife, I'm just kind of sitting back and like, I really wasn't paying attention to my phone, but like my agent called me. He's like, hey, you been talking to the media or anything like that? I said, bro, I'm on the beach. Like, what you mean? So then I jump on social media, mentions is blowing up. It's like somebody was doing a radio show. I don't know who it was here in Nashville, was like, oh, KB asked for a trade or asked to be released or something like that. It probably was. He probably was the leak. Probably might be the source.
Yeah, it's the leak.
And it was just weird because I'm like, how does this come out? Because obviously I'm not talking to anybody and anything like that. So, but I don't know. I just think like with the whole situation where I just kind of felt like it was, for me personally, like silence is golden. I feel like I just had to kind of go dark for a little bit, just because the simple fact is that it's very easy to get your emotions involved. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, when my agent told me, obviously he had a conversation with the team and kind of reported back to me about everything, it was very easy to be emotional because I'd be lying if I didn't say I felt the way about it. You know what I'm saying? I'd be lying if I said that I didn't like, what? They asked for what? But at the same time, like you can't be emotional in business. I had to find a way to make sure that, just to compartmentalize everything and just kind of keep my emotions out of it when I'm making these different decisions and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it was, it happened, you know what I mean? And I think we're in a good place right now.
So that's Kevin Byard on Bussin' with the Boys, and he spoke about a lot of things, but he was very logical, level-headed about the business. And again, Kevin Byard making business decisions, football team making business decisions. The entire NFL does it. We all do it in our professional lives, our careers. Why should it be any different in professional football. Media was very shock jockey this last offseason for sure. No, I mean, listen, Stillman put that out there on his radio show. I'm sure Jared thought it was true. I don't think Stillman was putting out fake reports on purpose. That's not, I know a lot of you guys have strong opinions about Jared. I love Jared to death, even though he's everything I hate about sports talk radio. Jared's a good friend of mine. It's funny. I used to have to part-time produce his radio show, run the board for his radio show when I was first starting out. And I always enjoyed Jared very much, even though I don't take him seriously whatsoever. And so, like I said, I'm sure Jared thought he was reporting the truth. I'm sure Jared talked to somebody who said that Kevin Byard had asked for his release. And I'm sure Jared thought he was buttoned up on it, and he wasn't. And he was wrong. We've all gotten stuff wrong. That one you can't get wrong, right? That one's a really, really big one to screw up. And, I don't know how Jared handled it. Frankly, I didn't hear or see anything on social media about, retractions or anything like that. And it's not because I'm not being dismissive, just because he works for the other radio station. It's, I don't listen to sports talk radio when I leave this place. Understandably, I've done 4 sports shows around sports talk today. I like to sit in the quiet when I have the time. But I do think that, one person being out there loud wrong with a report that I'm sure they thought was right, but screwed up, that doesn't make for media being a shock jockey off season. No, shit happens. The Kevin Byard pay cut was controversial. It's worth talking about. All the other things that they did. Will Levis is polarizing. It's not shock jockey. You guys, the reason we talk about it is because your guys' reaction to it. We don't do these things like, I don't give a shit whether they draft Will Levis in the 2nd round or the 7th round. You know what I'm saying? You guys were pissed. A lot of you guys were pissed. The reason we talk so much about Will Levis is because Will Levis is a quarterback. Will Levis is a polarizing quarterback. Will Levis is the thing that gets, or Hopkins or whomever, right? It's what gets the most attention. It's what you guys are most interested in. We work for you to an extent. But I do think that there's a degree of of business element to the Kevin Byard situation that has to be accounted for, and that is applicable to the DeAndre Hopkins situation. Absolutely, full stop. Ricky W says, Buck trying to educate us on professional sports. No, not all of you. Some of you know this shit. Some of you don't. That's fine. You don't gotta, and if you've heard it before, and if I've told you it before, if you know it on your own, whatever, it's the objective or the purpose of this thing existing is because I talk. People ask me questions, and I'm, inclined to give them answers to the questions. Or if I can provide insight to somebody who seems to lack it, then I'll do my best to do that. And if you think you know everything, Ricky, well, then you probably know more than me, and that's fine. And then I would say maybe I'll watch your show, but I don't know that you have a show, Ricky. And yet here you are talking to me on mine. So here we go. Dylan Moore says, eat the hot chip again, Buck. Your sinuses will clear out. It's not my sinuses. Again, it's just a bunch of ranch water and Vegas in my throat. Nothing at this point. I feel fantastic. I feel great. Actually, that's not true. I drank entirely too many ranch waters yesterday at the Beer Olympics situation, and I definitely had a headache this morning, but like nothing that affects my throat. My throat is just, straight up shredded. Anyway, let's keep it moving here on the Primetime Show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports? It's the rising and falling candidate. We'll get to that here in just a second on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We will talk about it. Stephen King says, Buck adds ranch to water. Yes, in fact, I pour a whole bottle of Nature Valley into my water and drink it. And apparently, that's a substitute for alcohol. No, you dope. Anyway, let's talk about whose stock rose or fell in sports this week. We'll do so right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is made possible by the best workout plan around. That's True Math Fitness is where you go. TrueMathFitness.com is where you go for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. It's also where you go for the best coaching staff, for the best facilities, for the best boot camp style classes, the best personal training, and the best open gym facility as a part of their membership programs. TrueMathFitness.com is where you go to get in shape, to get yourself better, to get the best version of you, a new way to work out, a new you as a result. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. Ricky would like to educate me on professional sports. There are owners and franchises whose goal is to win the championship, not just people like Buck's hero down in Cleveland, Jimmy Haslam. Oh, my hero now, Jimmy Haslam. I literally have no relation to Jimmy Haslam whatsoever. I didn't go to Tennessee. He didn't he hadn't been a plague for my program. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Haslam, frankly, because he signed it. He gave a noted predator the most guaranteed money in NFL history. So I think Jimmy Haslam is a bit of a dope. I don't know Jimmy Haslam. I think Jimmy Haslam can do whatever he wants with his football team. It's just football teams are toys for billionaires, and they're entitled to do with their playthings whatever they want to do with their playthings. But yeah, I don't like Jimmy Haslam for giving a noted predator the most guaranteed money in NFL history and justifying it by being a young quarterback. So, I don't know who your heroes are, but I think that you might reevaluate the situation. Ricky goes on to say that he's just said he's too good to listen to sports talk radio. Where these guys? Oh yeah, covering the symphony. I love the symphony. I go to Nashville. Nashville Symphony is a banger. And yeah, I do this shit for a living. You do it for fun. I do it for work. It's kind of like professional sports. You know why people want to play for your football team? Because your football team will play it. Pay them. You know why I want to talk about sports? Because a lot of people keep paying me to talk about sports. And I like money just as much as D-Hop does. All right, let's keep it moving on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Vols football recruiting stock up. Big weekend for Tennessee. Big weekend for wide receivers in particular. They need to land a few. That would absolutely be the move. Stephen King says Theo versus the boys is pretty funny. I'm assuming that's a Barstool or a Bussin' reference. I'm unfamiliar with who the Theo person is. We are looking at Nashville SC stock down, lost 2 in a row at this stage. Eric Castillo says stock down. Me, Ricky lives rent-free in Buck's Head. No, Ricky's just loud wrong about a lot of shit. And it's an easy way to dunk on loud wrong people. That's fine, baby. I can dunk on you too if you've got dumb shit to say, Eric. I got all day, baby. Well, I don't have all day. I got shit to do. But, for this period of time, we can share this time together. And you all can tell me how loud wrong I am. And I can tell you how loud wrong you are. And we can enjoy ourselves as a result. It's all good. It's all good conversation. And I always appreciate everyone's opinion. It's your show. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just here to tell you if you're right or you're wrong. And then you can tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. That's how the cycle continues. If we didn't have comments, if we didn't have people disagreeing with me or me disagreeing with people, this would be boring as shit. And you'd have no other reason to listen to this on top of the radio show, on top of the install, on top of the 615 Sessions podcast. Both, actually all 3 of which were already done today. So go check out a new install and a new 615 Sessions with the GOAT, Teresa Walker. Royal Wright says your voice won't last. You're right. I am straight up running out of gas. You guys might actually wear me down today because I just physically, I'm trying to get to July 4th weekend because I know we don't have any prime time and I know that I have a week off, almost a full week off of radio and all the other shit that I do. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Who won Beer Olympics? DeForest Buckner and George Kittle won Beer Olympics. I really enjoyed. I didn't get a chance to talk to Kittle a whole bunch, but I talked to DeForest Buckner for a while. It's a funny ass dude, and also a tremendous football player, and also a giant human being. Really, really cool guy. All right, rising though is Tennessee sports teams. As a matter of fact, it's Pride Month, obviously in the month of June. I was in Vegas this weekend, but Nashville had the Pride, the Nashville Pride celebration for the LGBTQAI+. I believe I got all the letters in that community, obviously. And I thought it was cool to see the Preds, to see the Titans, to see Roman Yossi, to see the Titans cheer squad out there in the streets celebrating Pride. Pride's always a good time. They do it right down the street from my neighborhood, as a matter of fact, in the Bicentennial Mall. Well, it looks like a hell of a party. They are out there getting after it. It's always quite the scene. So I didn't see it in person this year. I had a couple of friends go down and participate and show their support, but I thought it was cool for the Titans and the Predators to do the same. Stock up, Tennessee sports teams. So Bert didn't have the Preds video, but they had Roman Yossi handing out beads and the Preds Pride T-shirts. Preds Pride T-shirts are sick. I want to get a hold of one of those. But happy Pride to those of you who celebrate in the month of June, and good on the Titans and the Preds, and I'm sure the other sports teams. I know Nashville SC did a Pride night and all these other things. I'm not sure about the sounds or any of that, but always cool to see the community supporting one another that way, and certainly for the Titans and Preds to, show their employees who are certainly in that space that they are supportive of them as well. Pretty cool. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight here on the Prime Time Show. Always appreciate you guys spending some time. One more to do. Radio show tomorrow. What's on the radio show tomorrow? Let's take a look here, and I'll be able to tell you. I know that we have a couple of different things for you. We'll obviously talk about the NHL draft. Alex Doherty, speaking of the NHL draft, on the Forecheck is the outlet that he covers the Nashville Predators for. So we'll keep you updated on the Preds and the Preds draft. As a matter of fact, will start right as the radio show starts. Day 2, obviously, the NHL draft here in downtown Nashville. Looks like quite the scene at Bridgestone. Always a good time. Friday is going to be a banger of the radio show, too. We got Josh Pate and Coach Mack on the show, so make sure that you're hanging out with us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And if I don't catch you there, we'll see you tomorrow night on the Primetime Show. Eric Castillo says confirmed. Buck is a part of the Alphabet community. I don't know where I might fit in the middle of all that, but shit, yeah, I'm all for them. Good on them, and good on them for being out there loud in the streets. Good on them for being loud in what they do, and good on Nashville and the city of Nashville and teams who support them. I am absolutely an ally for every one of those letters, even if I can't name them all off. So yes, 100%. Whether I'm a part of the community or whether I'm because again, I'd be honest with you, there is a degree of ignorance in my assessment, because I don't know what all the letters stand for, and I honestly don't know what the plus stands for, to be honest with you. I might have to go look that up after the fact. So maybe I am in there, but I will tell you that always going to be on the side of inclusivity, 1,000%. All right, have a great rest of your night. We'll leave you with the most inclusive of sports fans, I don't even know what to call her at this point, but the Jags fan who lives on in perpetuity and drives y'all insane.
Well, are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.